At this stage, we already know that 2025 has been the year where the SEC has switched up completely. We now have a pro crypto admin in office, and the entire crypto market in the US is waking up. And I really do think that this entire economy is waking up to the idea of integrating crypto tech into every single process possible and revolutionizing the way that finance actually works using digital assets, stablecoins, and even the underlying networks. And I feel like 2025 is the year that we will look back on in history and say that's the time where everything changed for crypto. And as we really look at that, right, we also have to focus on what the SEC continues to do, right? Back in the middle of the month, we already know that Paul Atkins has been fully talking about and embracing crypto. If we go back to just August 15th, he did announce that he sat down with Mornings with Maria on Fox Business to discuss the SEC's Project Crypto and more of the work with the SEC is doing to help US businesses grow, protect investors, and even make America the crypto capital of the world. Now, we have been hearing about this crypto capital of the world for quite some time. In fact, I think that we first started to hear about it back in November. Then it was throughout December and throughout the entire year of 2025. And everyone just keeps saying, oh, well, it's not going to happen. It's just all, a promise that's not going to be kept. But the thing is that I feel like every single move that has happened so far in 2025 is a clear confirmation that every single branch of the government, every single agency around the government as well, is working towards making sure that this is a reality. Now, when we think about this, we also go back to just July 31st, because July 31st is where Paul Atkins did announce saying, thank you, A1 Policy, for hosting me today to discuss Project Crypto, which will be the SEC's North Star in aiding the president in his efforts to make America the crypto capital of the world. We are at the threshold of a new era in the history of our markets. Project Crypto is a commission-wide initiative to modernize the securities rules and regulations to enable America's financial markets to move on-chain. Which, by the way, this is that big update, right? Like that's that big shift from the SEC to say, guess what? We are making sure that everything moves on-chain. The fact that we are at this point in crypto, and what I mean by this point, I mean the point where we have the SEC, which was a hostile agency against crypto for years, now saying, guess what? We are going to do everything in our power to make sure that we modernize the securities markets to move them on chain. That's crazy to think about. The President's Working Group released the PWG report with clear recommendations for the SEC and other federal agencies to build a framework to maintain U.S. dominance in crypto asset markets. This report is the blueprint to make America first in blockchain and crypto technology. Project Crypto will help ensure that the United States remains the best place in the world to start a business, develop cutting-edge technologies, and participate in capital markets. First, we will work to bring crypto asset distributions back to America. In line with the PWG report, a key priority of mine will be to establish as swiftly as we can a regulatory framework for distributions of crypto assets in America. Second, to achieve the president's goals, it is incumbent on the SEC to ensure that market participants have maximum choice when deciding where to custody and trade the crypto assets. Third, a key priority of mine is to allow market participants to innovate with super apps. Fourth, I have directed the commission staff to update antiquated agency rules and regulations to unleash the potential of on-chain software systems in our securities markets. Finally, innovation and entrepreneurialism are the engines of the American economy. The president has described America as the nation of builders. Under my leadership, the SEC will encourage our nation's builders rather than constrain them with red tape and one-size-fits-all rules. As we advance these priorities, I look forward to working with my counterparts across the administration to make the U.S. the crypto capital of the world. This represents more than a regulatory shift. It is a generational opportunity. This is crazy coming from the SEC chair. Now, if we're thinking about that, during this interview that just got, pushed yesterday, we have Justin, the SEC chair, Paul Atkins, says all divisions are mobilizing to make America the crypto capital of the world. Here we have the video. SEC chair Paul Atkins says, have the world run on American technology. Big shout to Bank XRP for this, by the way. We are mobilizing to make America the crypto capital of the world. President's Working Group report on digital assets, Project Crypto Genius Act, plus other upcoming bills as well. Check it out.
So a couple of weeks ago, the administration issued the President's Working Group's report on digital assets in the United States, and there were clear directions to the SEC. We're part of the PWG, that President's Working Group, and clear recommendations for us to go forward and help make what the President has announced, his intention to make America the crypto capital of the world and have the world run on American technology. So we're mobilizing at the SEC all our different divisions and offices to focus on making that announcement become reality. So that's with our corporation finance division, investment management, and others. We're focusing on what we can do to make the regulations of the SEC encompass the crypto assets and also make it so that people can have some clarity going forward. We're working with Congress. Obviously, the Genius Act was enacted here a few weeks ago with a big announcement at the White House by the President himself, and as he signed it. So that, I thought, was a very good step forward. And now there are other bills in Congress that are being considered, and when they return from their recess, I look forward to much more forward progress.
So yeah, when we are thinking about all of these moves here, this truly is, I would argue that this is the prime time to be in crypto, because going forward, we are going to witness these markets really open up in a huge way, not just because of, oh, hey, look at the SEC is telling us that these things are happening. No, it's the fact that every single player here in America is now on board the crypto train. This year has been crazy already for crypto. I found this post which outlines everything, right? So you're telling me that 2025 has already given us the Genius Act, Draft Clarity Act, Crypto Task Force, rescinded SAB 121, Epic Games decision, 401ks opening to crypto, and now the US is about to start accumulating Bitcoin as a strategic reserve. Now, a lot of people said they're not going to be buying it at all. What we have here from Scott Bessent, in addition, Treasury is committed to exploring budget-neutral pathways to acquire more Bitcoin to expand the reserve. So it means that they are planning to buy more Bitcoin in a way that is budget neutral. We have to see what happens here. But the fact that they are starting to plan around this tells us everything that we need to know, right? And what's crazy about all of this is I want you guys to realize what this means for companies like Ripple, what this means for projects like XRP. Because again, we go back to this whole American-made technology conversation. We know that XRP is the largest top made in America coins on CoinMarketCap. And on top of that, Ripple is a American-based company. This could not be more of a perfect environment for Ripple and XRP, especially at a time where the SEC just wrapped up the case with Ripple. But also, if we're thinking about all of these divisions mobilizing to make America the crypto capital of the world, shouldn't we already be seeing some pretty big moves? Well, yeah, we are. In fact, the same day that we got this speech, Federal Reserve announces it will sunset its novel activity supervision program and return to monitoring banks' novel activities through the normal supervisory process. Guys, this is huge. This is a huge update because we have over here the novel activity supervision program was a major catalyst for Operation Choke Point 2.0. One banking lawyer told me, while the Fed has yet to rescind all of its anti-crypto guidance from the Biden era, this is another piece of the puzzle. And yeah, it's a huge confirmation of the shift happening in real time. It kind of reminds me back to what we've been hearing and what we've been seeing from all of these big organizations around the banking industry as well to greenlight crypto. We already know that the Fed gave the green light to banks to tap into crypto. Also, if we go back to March of this year, we have US banks get a crypto green light. The US Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, the OCC, has confirmed that national banks can engage in crypto activities like custody, stablecoins, and blockchain networks. In a major shift, the regulator is ditching its old rule that required banks to get prior approval before jumping into crypto. Banks no longer need a permission slip, just solid controls in place. Also, the FDIC, back in March as well. The FDIC has made it easier for banks to engage in crypto-related activities. This is one of the best ways to mainstream crypto further. And when we're thinking about this, all of this goes hand in hand with what we just witnessed from Paul Atkins. How? Why? Well, let's connect the puzzle pieces, right? If we think about what's been being said from Trump and even from his son as well, Eric, they both said that the banking industry is broken. The entire financial system is broken. How can we fix it? Well, we greenlight all of the big banks. We greenlight the adoption of crypto and the integration of crypto. We embrace stablecoins. We already know that Scott Bessent has been embracing stablecoins fully. This admin has been embracing stablecoins from like the beginning of this year. So all of these things are basically being adopted, or I shouldn't say adopted, but greenlight it for adoption. And at the same time, we are starting to see moves being made to clear the pathway to adoption of all of this tech. So we already have almost everything in place to streamline and accelerate the adoption of crypto tech in the US. We still have a few things to get through. The main thing is that Clarity Act, right? That's like the last major step. But we are so close to having the US integrate crypto into the financial system. I don't think people realize how close we are to that big moment for crypto. 2025 has been a crazy year, but it's also been the year where everything is starting to change. Everything is starting to shift. And I do want to use the words of Paul Atkins because I do agree with him, right? It's not just a regulatory shift. It's a generational opportunity. It's the same thing that I could say for the retail sector. In front of us, we don't just have an asset class that's worth almost $4 trillion. We don't just have an asset class that, oh yeah, I think that this might be bigger sometime in the future. No, we have clear confirmation that crypto is going to be much bigger. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity for retail to get in on the ground floor before we actually see regulations hit this market and all of the big banks and the largest economy in the world to actually integrate the technology as well. If you think about it, what do you think happens to the prices of these assets when they are adopted completely into the largest economy in the world? And also every single bank is integrating these networks into their tech stack. ISO 20022 mandates the banks to integrate. All of this is happening following the timeline of ISO 20022. November of this year is the cutoff for ISO 20022 adoption, which also means that all of the banks need to integrate with this new technology by the end of this year. This is the big moment for crypto. 2025 has been a massive year already. And I think going forward, it's only going to continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger from here. And I do think that the announcements are going to be, if we compare it back to like 2020 to 2021, some of these announcements that we are seeing today are insanely massive, but we are not putting it on the same scale that we would have back in 2020 and 2021 because it's so common at this point. And that's a good thing because it means that, you know, these announcements are happening so often that we just don't even blink an eye at them. That's good because it means that adoption's accelerating, acceptance is accelerating, and we're building that path to integration and the mass utilization of the tech. Guys, we are so early, and we are also a part of a once in a lifetime opportunity. This is going to be the largest revolution around finance and around tech that we've ever witnessed. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.